So today we're going to check out some videos and we are going to see if history that was taught to us is the actually history that happened, or was it all a farce? At this point, I'm not smart enough to figure anything out. We're just going to go and see what the general census is, what's going on online, what people are saying. All right. Okay, let's jump into this.
So today we're going to talk about Christopher Columbus and some hidden history from The International Jew by Henry Ford. Did you know in 1492 more than 300,000 Jews were expelled from Spain and came to America?
So now you understand all the atrocities that happens in America. You cannot blame everyone that look like this. Um, you know where they came from? 1492. There was nowhere else to go, so they came here. Atrocities.
Hmm. Then it gets a little deeper when you find out who owns all the social media, and then who also owns the tobacco industry, the cotton industry, the banking industry, the theater, the newspaper, the radio.
Pretty much the backbone of
And
society.
then we can clearly see who owns the government as well. Now, someone's going to come in there and say, oh, this is anti Semitic. That's the same thing you always hear, so that you don't question what's actually happening in your country. It gets deeper when you find out that the pioneers of LGBTQ45, same people.
All right. So now they have us thinking that some guy in Germany burnt up a whole bunch of books and was against a certain people or whatever. But now you come to find out that the books that he was burning was books that had to do with, yeah, all of this stuff, alphabetical stuff that I'm not even sure what does this mean, but the alphabets and the alphabets is all over the place. Yeah, so they decided to burn that to cleanse their society. Why wouldn't any society do that? And here is where we're failing. Walk up in any of our local school or library, and you see books of children being appropriate sexually with other children or with adults and all that. This is the stuff that we should be doing. We should be walking up in these libraries. You don't belong here. Come on to the fire.
And a lot of people don't know this is going on because these people are always changing their names: Phoenicians, Venetians, Charzarians, Bolsheviks, Zionists, Communists, and it goes on. And someone's going to ask, why were they changing their names? Well, because if you tracked it back to slavery and you found out who actually brought the slaves.
All right. So we know who exactly came in 1492. It wasn't a bunch of everybody, was a specific set of people that got kicked out and they came. We also now know who is responsible for the atrocities up until the whole slave trade. Right here in the document. Unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to figure it out. It's this great brother right here. Cultivate, elevate. Check him out. Check him out.
Kind of gives you a different story. Really gives you a different story.
A different story, my brother, a different story. So even after all that, and there were dozens of states, mostly down south, I think, where we'd really start getting things together to where it would be like actually segregation is a great thing. I think the only thing we have blossoming out of that right now maybe Atlanta, but Atlanta is not anything like what Tulsa used to be, Rosewood, Greenwood, and all these places that they specifically orchestrate the destruction. All right.
That's for sure. Then it gets deeper when you find out who did the first plastic surgeries so that people can blend in.
Of course. Now it's really more than just looking pretty. There's a long history of people being called name thieves, stealer of names and stealer of faces. How is the perfect way to steal someone's face? And the whole thing about stealing a face, it's a little bit deeper than what you think. It's taking their entire identity and assuming to be them. Plastic surgery was a good thing for them, huh?
Then it gets deeper when you talk about Palestine and the takeover of that with the Rothschilds. Same people.
Now, remember, we come to look of what's going on in Palestine. What do they call it? Gene something. I'm not sure what kind of genes it is, but all of that gene something that's going on in Palestine, just know it's the same set of people that did it here in 1492. Their own documents told you who came in 1492. It wasn't no everybody, it was the specific ones.
And the whole Palestine thing connects back to the Rothschilds, who were the bankers who then control everything, including the schools.
Bankers, let's talk about bankers. Ooh, how they muscled their way upon the American people. And when they came in with the first Bank of America, we fought back. I forgot which revolution that was about. And they came with the second Bank of America, and the people bravely, I don't know how we look at these people a couple hundred years ago and thinking that we're smarter than them, because they were 10 times smarter than us. They saw through the BS. They fought back on the first Bank of America. They fought back on the second Bank of America. But for some reason, we broke in 1913. And whatever they were trying to do came to fruition with the Federal Reserves. Yeah, complete control.
And this is why in school, things like reading the Bible, praying, celebrating Christmas, got to get rid of all that. Then it gets deeper when you find out who brought in all the liquor and all the drugs and also made people into drunks during the Great Depression because the same people caused the Great Depression.
The very same thing, the very same people.
And this book was written in 1921, so we have been hijacked for a long period of time, especially when all the media and the newspapers and the radios are owned by a small group of people who control everything, kind of like what we see today.
I would suggest, if I was a part of a group and the group is doing bad things, the only way for me to separate myself would be to literally get out and speak against it. I am not with this stuff. I'm separating myself. I don't like it. I am not with it. Um, I'm going to waste my breath. That's what. Whatever amongst you who want to call yourself good, that's what you're going to need to do. Because when the masters wake up, this 110th eviction will not be the same as anyone of any of those that came before.
So, on that note, here's some things you might want to look into, and also maybe why we gave another country $133 billion when they've been lying to us the entire.
Giving, other countries a cajillion dollars, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Imagine giving that country $33,000 for each child born there up until the age 18, only for them to come up and own a big industry, social media platform with all the money that you gave them, and therefore continue the siphoning off of the wealth. Hmm. Say it ain't so? Do your homework.
Time. I don't know. Have a great day.
Yo, that's crazy, man. Who took out Johnny though, bro? He didn't learn to read and to write so well. Boop, 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 boop. But he played his guitar like a ringing a bell, yell, yell, yell. I said, go, go, Johnny. Johnny be good tonight. Yeah, yeah. Remember that Peter touched that bud. Who took out Johnny though? What happened to Johnny, me boy? Talk to me.
The one conspiracy you believe in.
What's the one conspiracy that I
Johnny, me
believe in?
boy.
I
Talk.
believe that elements of the CIA were involved in the killing of John Kennedy. I believe elements of the Israeli government were involved in the killing of John Kennedy.
Really?
I do.
Which element
I
puts
was
it
I was
together?
I was waiting for the president to declassify all of the remaining JFK documents.
Yes.
He said he did. He
Not
didn't.
all of it, yeah.
No. There's still several thousand pages, and I'm told that they point directly at the Israelis.
Really?
I said, go, go, Johnny. Johnny be good. Yeah. Well, I'm to Johnny, man. Who took out Johnny, me boy? Johnny, me boy. Now, I myself, I'm not smart enough to know any of this. I'm just watching the tube, man. I'm just watching the freaking tube here, bro. And a Johnny, man. Who took out the kid? I ain't smart enough to get into any of this shit, but I do know I like that Peter Touch song. I said, go, go, Johnny. Johnny be good tonight. Yeah. Go, go, Johnny. What happened to Johnny, man? Who got the kid? Johnny!
Forget Lyndon Johnson. Forget the CIA. Forget Fidel Castro. The Mossad killed Kennedy.
I said, go, go, Johnny. Johnny be good. Yeah.
Because they were so upset over what he did to Ben Gurion. There's a very surprising series of letters between. Very surprising. God killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben Gurion. There's a the Mossad killed Kennedy because they were so upset over what he did to Ben Gurion. There's a very surprising series of letters between Kennedy and David Ben Gurion, not only the prime minister, but the founder of Israel. They're very angry letters in which Kennedy is saying to Ben Gurion, I'm killing myself trying to get a nuclear test ban treaty. I've even got de Gaulle on board, and that's impossible. And you keep testing in Dimona. You've got to stop. Ben Gurion says, it's easy for you to say sitting in Hyannisport. I'm sitting with the Arabs all around me, and you want me to give up my nuclear testing. And Kennedy threatens him, and he threatens him in such a way that Ben Gurion resigned. And I will tell you that I found articles, not in any crackpot publications, but in very sophisticated publications saying,
I don't know what happened to Johnny Boy, but there's all the people out there got their own opinion, and I ain't smart enough to have one, so leave me alone.
This home with you, the Jewish representative of Israel that is in Atlanta, said that the greatest difficulty that Israel has is with young Black Americans. What does Israel have to fear about young Black Americans? Because they refuse to be controlled by the forces that control their fathers and their grandfathers. That is over. So I say to Israel, leave the Black youth alone. Don't come into our community trying to kill us to satisfy your bloodlust. Turn my young Black brothers over to the nation of Islam. We'll take them and teach them and civilize them. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you with a
See what they talking about. I ain't smart enough to figure out none of this stuff.
Most dangerous lie the US government is still telling the public.
The Israelis are not our friends. The FBI has been able to identify 187 undeclared Mossad agents spread all around the United States to steal secrets from our defense contractors. And we give the Israelis 99% of the technology that we have. They're trying to steal that last 1%. I'll give you an example. We went to the Israelis. We said, look, we're developing this new fighter called the F-35. It's going to be the best test fighter. They said, we won. We said, great, we'll give them to you. We're going to call yours the F-35I, I for Israel. And what we're going to do is we're going to very slightly degrade the avionics. So, God forbid, if one of them gets shot down, the Iranians or the Russians or the Chinese can't get the avionics. They said, no, we want the F-35. We said, no, we're not going to give it to you. Well, the Israelis are in Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin and Boeing and every other defense contractor in America trying to steal every one of our defense secrets to upgrade the avionics to have at least what we have and more.
واحد اسمه الجمعية العامة المتحدة الأمم المتحدة الجمعية العامة المتحدة تفتح ملف اغتيال كندي الرئيس الأمريكي. لماذا؟ نبغى نعرف. قتله واحد اسمه لي هارفي. واحد اسمه جاك روبي قتل لي هارفي قاتل كندي. لماذا قتله؟ جاك روبي إسرائيلي قتل لي هارفي اللي قاتل كندي. لماذا هذا الإسرائيلي يقتل قاتل كندي؟ ثم جاك روبي قاتل كندي مات قبل إعادة محاكمته بظروف غامضة. لماذا؟ أرجع الملفات. أنا اللي نعرفها والعالم ممكن يعرفها واللي درسناها في التاريخ أن كندي قرر تفتيش مفاعل ديمونة إسرائيلي. هل في قنابل ذرية وإلا لا؟ وعلشان كذا تم تخلص منه.
Other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The answer is categorically yes. The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran. A third nation, by the way, is Libya as well. Libya is, while no one is watching, under the cloak.
Listen to me, man. When the world boss says something's got to go, something's got to go. We thank you for your great leadership, oh great Archon.
Is trying very rapidly to build an atomic bomb capability. So you have here now three nations. Not surprisingly, all three have been implicated in the past in terrorist activity using the clandestine means of terror and proxies. Now the question is, what's your next step? Knowing that three of these nations are developing nuclear weapons.
Now, this pivot that he just did, I wonder if the guy that asked the question wasn't paid to ask him that so he could lay out, germinate the scene, and then come back with his action of execution. Now what you're going to do? Oh, world boss. I'm glad that you're the only one with sense. We're all too stupid to figure it out, though. I know.
This is not a hypothesis. It is fact. Iraq, Iran, and Libya are racing to develop nuclear weapons. So now what is the next step? I believe that the next step is to choose. It's not a question of whether you have to take action, but what kind of action and against whom.
Get it, man. You gotta choose an action. What kind of
Clean on the Palestinian baby's blood. Like kill like this, like took a baby head and cut his head and cut his head.
Plan on killing kids in the future, Palestinian kids?
I want to bomb Gaza. I don't care about the kids. I don't care about the civilians. I don't care about them.
I wish IDF more children. Okay? Five Palestine baby. Yeah, very good.
אומרת, הרגתי ילד. אפשר רק צוחקים על זה. כמו שאפשר לצחוק.
You think it's funny that Israel's bombing innocent lives in Gaza?
We your babies, yeah.
You think it's funny?
Yeah, it's very funny.
Are you even human?
That's the fucking question.
I'm not robot. These babies.
The IDF that are there that are serving are coming out and saying, like, yes, we were ordered to shoot the children.
By their officers.
By their officers, by their units.
Late December 2023. The man and child had been shot
That's
by Israeli
disgusting.
snipers.
That is disgusting. Where is the volume? The volume. Give me the volume. The volume. He literally tried to kick that woman, bust his ass. What kind of a society would do this? Oh, goodness. Oh, that's great. So I'm just going to send you $1 kajillion a year, and then I'm going to come spend my tourist money and come down there for you to spit in my face and do all that good shit. Oh, that's just great. Beautiful. Good job. Job well done. Good shit, good shit, good shit.
I don't understand how this isn't being talked about on every major news outlet right now. This is the biggest story in America. 796 BEAD babies were found hidden in a septic tank at a mother's home run by nuns. This is reported today, just 6 hours ago, by the New York Post.
Then you find out people's religion has to do with all these kind of stuff that they do to these little children, Epstein and all these people that's trapping the politicians with these ungodly acts in front of these kids so foreign nations could be in control of them. The rabbit hole is deep. The rabbit hole is deep.
House of Representatives just passed a bill that gives the soldiers of the IDF, that's the Israeli Defense Force. You now have Israeli Defense Force foreign military receiving United States military benefits.
This is true. As a veteran, let me tell you, this boils my freaking blood. I tell you that in a real life.
What he just said, what Joey just said, people here can't even afford health insurance, and now they're giving it to a foreign country, which in my opinion is a fucking enemy. They're the most disgusting, evil country on earth that has attacked the United States multiple times. And you're going to give them benefits? And you're telling me these deserve to live? These politicians deserve to be alive? Get the fuck out of here.
Now, they wanted to cause so much pain and suffering to where this side of people is fighting this side of people, and we're going back and forth over here, Raheem and Billy Joe Bob, to destabilize this thing, to solidify this whole United State of Israel. I think the opposite is happening. People from all sides of the spectrum is starting to wake up and say, yo, this shit don't smell right. I smell a rat.
Fire! Vi är väg! Mitt emot ju! Släpp du, yo! Släpp du! Varför står om du? Fire! En nog den koppel! Och den PS! Yo! Yo! Fire! Yay! Yay! Kijk, waar is het? Daar ja toch niet!
Lucky they didn't eat his ass.
We in Israel believe in shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't waste any time. We do exactly everything upside down.
They do everything upside down, huh? The inversion.
Because that way we can be special, God's chosen people. Another thing is, after we shoot ourselves in the foot, we blame the Palestinians. Because to blame the Palestinians is a very special honor that only we get to do. Do you ever get to blame Palestinians for what you do, your crimes? It's much easier to go through life that way, trust me, especially when we are the biggest criminals in the world. Do you remember when we bombed King David Hotel long time ago? No? Good, forget about that. Remember what we did to the flotilla to Gaza? You
1967,
don't? Good.
USS
Good.
Liberty.
Stay ignorant. It's good for us. And if you have true leftist, how dare you be educated and know what's going on? Do you know who I am? I speak on behalf of the Jewish people.
I get it, man. I get it. I get it. I get it. People get so excited when they realize that their country is actually ran by another place altogether. They get excited. I get it. But little did they know, this same motive has been played out in every kingdom. Let me tell you a little something, something about something, something. There's a place one time called Britain, and there's another place called Germany. When they had taken over Germany, the people in Britain were called Anglo-Britain, Anglican. The people in Germany were called Saxon. The Saxon, so just like that, they inserted themselves and took over the royalty of England. This has happened time and time and time again. This happened in the time of King Herod. What happened then? Around 145 years BC, there was a guy from the Maccabees dynasty called John Hyrcanus, the Hasmonean Maccabee. And John Hyrcanus conquered Idumea, which they were dwelling. And instead of putting them to the sword, he incorporated them. Well, give another 145 years down the line, they became in control of every damn thing, down to the point where when Rome is now picking a leadership over Judea, it's picking some guy called Herod, King Herod the Idumean. That wasn't even a real McCoy. It's happened over and over again. Over and over and over again. When did it happen again? So the upper kingdom and the lower kingdom of ancient Kemet, when the Hyksos rode in, they took the lower kingdom out by the deltas, a place they call Goshen or Ivoris. Anyhow, when you would read now in history later, you would not be able to tell the real Egyptian from the fake that just came in. A whole different ball game. This is a work and tried and proven process. They've done this 1,000,001 times. Talk about it, my brother. Talk about it. Let me hear about your pain.
Hostile members of a foreign interest, which is Israel, which means technically it's not the United States government. It's a government that's being run and has been overthrown, and the republic has been sacked. So Jews who run this society are taking your military.
What did I just say? The republic has been sacked. It happened everywhere. Everywhere. Those people who's calling themselves the king and the queen of England, these are the Saxonburgs that came over and took over those people's country. Every time, everywhere, the model is the same. No one should even become like, at this point, we should just say, okay, this is how this works. They don't show their face. They slip into another country like you slip yourself into a glove, do atrocities in that country's name, and you're thinking, bitch Elizabeth, oh, freaking stinking America. Well, they're peoples that are animating the whole process. Know that.
Giving it for a greater Israel in Ukraine, preparing you for slaughter with your own white brothers.
We're not getting no reparations. This rally right here is putting people to sleep. They love putting people out there to talk about stuff like this because it keeps the heat off of them.
The Jews are telling you, y'all two gonna fight each other and kill each other. We are not the problem.
Hello? Did you hear me make that correlation that what they want to do in here by Albert Pike is to get everyone that looks like this fighting with everyone that looks like this in America, and we should be like getting at it, and while we offing each other and unaliving each other, then they could establish their United States of Israel over here. The very same thing that they're trying to do with Billy Joel Bob and Muhammad over in the Middle East. They want to turn those two fractions against each other, and after those two fractions done get rid of each other, then they could establish the greater Israel. This is what he's saying. This is what he's saying in his own words. Speak your peace, my brother. Speak your peace.
Truth of it is, the Jews are the problem. That's what I think about the reparations. The enterprise called slavery is an enterprise. The Grandies, the Marranos, the Jews, they hold a substantial amount of the issues and responsibility for the reparations that we got to go and get. When we're talking about the Jews as a problem for black people, it's not just slavery. What about Reconstruction? Who engineered the end of Reconstruction? William Levy, who was what? A Jew from South Carolina.
Everybody's starting to wake up, and they're going to start identifying who's the real culprit. The real culprit that had Europeans.
I tell you, humanity in general is good people. I don't care if you look like this or like this. In general, we're good people. Having a set of people that's pulling the string from behind, animating everyone to act a certain way, this people against this people and all that. I'm so glad humanity's waking up. The masters are waking up.
Indigenous people divided, hating each other. The real perpetrator is the so-called Jew.
Executive branch has been overthrown by hostile members of a foreign interest, which is Israel, which means technically it's not the United States government. It's a government that's being run and has been overthrown, and the republic has been sacked. So Jews who run this society are taking your military, giving it for a greater Israel in Ukraine, preparing you for slaughter with your own white brothers.
We're not getting no reparations. This rally right here is putting people to sleep. They love.
I like the fact that he says your white brothers. I love that. That means now we're stopped looking at this as, and we're seeing, we think we should just have a beer. I'm not going to let this guy manipulate both of us and then all kind of crap started happening. This is good. This is good.
Hunt rabbits. They hunted children dressed as them. In 1899, deep in the Appalachian Mountains of Pennsylvania, wealthy Americans gathered at a private.
This is sick. What they do. This is sick that they made a culture and a whole cartoon out of it.
Hunting lodge. They called it the Rabbit Hunt. Orphan boys in burlap suits, ears stitched high, hoods so tight they could barely see. The hunters, bankers, and factory owners waited with rifles and lanterns, drunk.
Bankers, huh? Bankers, yeah. Them bankers. The bankers.
On whiskey. The boys were driven barefoot into frozen brush. One of them was Thomas, nicknamed Bunny for his teeth. They jammed a carrot between his jaws, a joke for the hunters. He chewed to keep from crying, his breath steaming in the cold. Dogs were released. Lanterns bobbed like cruel stars as the men closed in. Each time Thomas stumbled, the bark of hounds mixed with voices from the dark. "What's up, Doc?" Laughter followed. Rifles raised. Workers later uncovered his body in a shallow burrow, skin torn, half a carrot still clenched between his teeth. For the men, it was amusement dressed as tradition. For the children, it was a costume stitched for death. This is the real.
What's up, Doc? It's never going to mean the same thing to me again.
Of these slave ships. Who are the biggest slavers in the 16th century? The Ashkenazi were the biggest slavers in the 16th and 17th century, going into the 18th century. You see, Ashkenazi slaving was huge. This is from, I have to be careful when I say this, so my sources, it's always best to go with Jewish sources, right? Because you just trod on a bunch of toes. So we'll go with the Jewish sources. There's a ton of sources out there, but I'll stick with the Jewish ones because that's just safer. The Jewish scholar Jonathan Shorshak says this: Jewish merchants routinely possessed enormous numbers of slaves temporarily before selling them off. If a slave auction fell on a Jewish festival, it was postponed due to lack of buyers and sellers. The Jews of Suriname gave their slave plantations Hebrew names such as Machanaim, Nachamu, and Goshen. Rabbi Herbert Bloom adds that the slave trade was one of the most important Jewish activities. Jewish slaving is in fact confirmed by the Jewish Encyclopedia. And who were the owners of these slave ships? Who were the biggest slavers in the 16th century? The Ashkenazi.
Box cutters. It was done by the Zionists with Dick Cheney as their executing authority. They spent a year deepening the channel so that they could destroy the crime scene and get rid of all of the evidence. The dogs were taken out 2 weeks in advance and then controlled demolitions put in. The dogs were not allowed back or they would have gone crazy. The 9/11 Commission was run by a Zionist, Philip Zelikow. He's a piece of crap who works for the Zionists, and his job was to cover up the whole 9/11 thing. Robert Mueller is director of the FBI. His entire responsibility in life was to cover up 9/11. I have seen evidence that the Zionists began planning 9/11 in 1988, but what they were waiting for was Dick Cheney as vice president. I mean, 9/11 was also insurance fraud. Yes. There is no insurance company on the planet that would have paid out $7 billion without a proper investigation unless they were part of the cover-up. And $7 billion is a drop in the bucket compared to the $250 billion that was laundered on 9/11 from the Black Eagle Trust. 9/11 was not done by ragheads with box cutters. It was done by the Zionists with Dick Cheney as their executing authority.
The Jewish state of Israel. Yeah. And by the way, pedophiles who go and rape the Goyim in America and Europe, guess where they get to run, where there's no extradition treaties? Well, yeah, the Jewish state of Israel. I've been saying Jewish state of Israel, and I've been getting pushback from people who are supposed to be on my side because, it's not all the Jews. I'm sick of that program. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of it. Every single one of you Jews who is behind usury, who are posing as liberal, when in fact you are what Jesus referred to as the synagogue of Satan, I make no apologies. You are my enemy. My duty is to fight you to the end. Literally. And by the way, where is the epicenter, the mecca of homosexuality, transgenderism, and pedophilia? Take a guess. The Jewish state of Israel. Yeah. And by the way, pedophiles who go and rape the Goyim in America and Europe, guess where they get to run, where there's no extradition treaties? Well, yeah, the Jewish state of Israel. I've been saying Jewish state of Israel, and I've been getting pushback from people who are supposed to be on my side because, it's not all the Jews. I'm sick of that program. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of it. Every single one of you Jews who is behind usury, who are posing as liberal, when in fact you are what Jesus referred to as the synagogue of Satan, I make no apologies. You are my enemy. My duty is to fight you to the end. Literally. And by the way, where is the epicenter?
This infiltration of the United States became fundamental. Israel, they had a policy of sending key people to America. And one of them was a guy called Benjamin Emanuel, a bomber with the gun, and he gave birth to Rahm Emanuel, who was the White House chief of staff to Barack Obama in his 2 terms. There was another son called Ezekiel Emanuel, and he was one of the Biden advisors on the COVID fake vaccine, the lockdowns, etc. All these people that get funding from AIPAC have to make this pledge to do what's best for Israel and to defend Israel. When Netanyahu goes to speak to both houses of Congress, that's why you see standing ovations. What this whole thing has been since Israel was established is a buying time operation, buying time to take over the lot and then start to pick off other countries and other land around Israel and for the Greater Israel Project, which is real.
The one and only Jewish state. You stand with Israel.
This infiltration of the United States became fundamental. Israel, they had a policy of sending key people to America, and one of them was a guy called Benjamin Emanuel, a bomber with the gun, and he gave birth to Rahm Emanuel, who was the White House chief of staff to Barack Obama in his 2 terms. There was another son called Ezekiel Emanuel, and he was one of the Biden advisors on the COVID fake vaccine, the lockdowns, etc. All the
Complete infiltration. Complete infiltration.
One to come to terms with the fact that you cannot vote yourself out of being occupied by a foreign entity that thinks we should all die for their agenda. As expected, we are being sucked into World War III. USS Nimitz and its strike group are headed towards the Middle East, as well as at least 25 air tankers and counting. And this is how we know we're cooked. Apparently, the Samson option has been leaked. If you've never heard of the Samson option, it's basically Israel's plan to take down the entire world with nukes if they're ever on the verge of defeat. This is the translated version of that document, and you can see under global deterrence attacks, there's the United States, and apparently they plan to bomb Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, and NORAD in Colorado. Only someone in a full state of delusion would believe that a country could plan to nuke you and still be your greatest ally.
The United States must get involved in this fight in order to protect the United States. God bless America. God bless the United States of Israel. United States of Israel.
It's time for everyone to come to terms with the fact that you cannot vote yourself out of being occupied by a foreign entity
This
that
motherfucker
thinks we
actually
should all
came out
die
and
for
say
their
that
agenda.
shit.
As expected, we are being sucked into
We
World War
joke about
III.
it, but
USS
what
Nimitz and its strike group are headed towards the Middle East, as well as at least 25 air tankers and counting. And this is how we know we're cooked. Apparently, the Samson option has been leaked. If you've never heard of the Samson option, it's basically Israel's plan to take down the entire world with nukes if they're ever on the verge of defeat. This is the translated version of that document, and you can see under global deterrence attacks, there's the United States, and apparently they plan to bomb Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, and NORAD in Colorado. Only someone in a full state of delusion would believe that a country could plan to nuke you and still be your greatest ally.
The United States must get involved in this fight in order to protect the United States. God bless America. God bless the United States of Israel.
What the fuck? Okay. You're saying this shit as a joke and not knowing that these people are whoa, what the fuck? I need a spliff. I thought we were just being slick when we say that shit. I mean, we know that, but are they saying it too? The fuck?
United States of Israel.
I think I'm gonna need a spliff break, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely need a spliff break after this one. Holy shit. This germs. Holy fucking shit. This is not even a fucking joke, bro.
In the United States is not based
Hey, what the fuck's going on in the world? Could somebody tell me?
on 9 million Jewish voters. It's based on lies, bribery, and blackmail. And Jeffrey Epstein is the pinnacle of how Israel blackmails U.S. politicians and so forth. Number one, Epstein is a fake billionaire who was added to an existing prostitution network. Ghislaine Maxwell, in my judgment, is a Mossad officer. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was the most famous Mossad spy in U.S. history. He pioneered software backdoors into all governments everywhere, but particularly the US and Canada. Ghislaine Maxwell was a Mossad officer running a high-level prostitution ring that included children, boys and girls, and trapping people in a relatively low-level way. They needed someone like Jeffrey Epstein to pretend to be a billionaire, to suck the elites in, to be one of the boys, and to normalize pedophilia as a daily routine for people like Bill Clinton and actually Hillary Clinton. And so Jeffrey Epstein was given a letter of credit, $1 billion, by Les Wexner. Les Wexner is not only said to have funded Epstein, he's said to have funded the 9/11 false flag operation that Israel carried out from 1988 onwards with Dick Cheney's active complicity from 1990. The CIA and the FBI were complicit from day one. The power of Israel in
Gog and Magog is you want to call it World War III, you want to call it the end of all wars, whatever you want to call it. It's called Gog and Magog according to this. War will start with a war between Ishmael, which is the Muslims, and Edom, which is the Christians. It's going to be a world war.
So you hear me talk earlier how certain people is trying to set up a certain race war over here between, and they're also doing the same over there between. Let's see how this is going to work. Because my Bible tell me that the people's going to wake up in time and you're going to get busted. Let's see.
Initially, they're going to kill each other, fight each other, try to destroy each other, but then they're going to turn around, stop the fight, and then both of them attack Israel. Obviously, the war is never going to stop. It's going to be a continuously built war and so on, but at some point, the Mashiach is going to come. The Jewish Mashiach is going to come. Not the Christian Mashiach, not the Arab Mashiach. The Jewish Mashiach is going to come, and the war is going to take the next big step. Once the Mashiach, son of David, will come, he will fight against the enemies of Am Yisrael. He will defeat all of them. 2/3 of the world are going to die, are going to be destroyed during these wars, some at different parts, but 2/3 of the world will die in a short period of time. The Gaon Vilna says 8 minutes. There's going to be a nuclear war where there's, as part of this Gog and Magog, where in 8 minutes, 2/3 of the world are going to die. 1/3 will remain. That third that remains, some of them will survive. The only people that are going to survive are Jews that are righteous Jews, that are Torah observant. They're observing Shabbat, they're observing family purity, they're observing the Torah. That is what gives us a right to exist. The Gentiles, they have to observe the 7 Noahide laws, which are fewer, but not necessarily easy. Once the Mashiach comes, once it is clear to everyone that the only divine document that has ever existed and exists today is the Torah and nothing else. Not the Quran, not the New Testament, not the Buddhist teachings. That means that everyone is going to accept or reject it. There's no middle ground. Either you accept it or you reject it. This is going to be the process. This is going to determine who's going to survive, who's not. People that accept it 100% are going to be the part of the people that survive. People that reject it, fight against it, are going to be part of the 2/3 of the world that die. Gog and Magog is you want to call it World War III, you want to call it...
If you say so, buddy. If you say so.
One to come to terms with the fact that you cannot vote yourself out of being occupied by a foreign entity that thinks we should all die for their agenda. As expected, we are being sucked into World War III. USS Nimitz and its strike group are headed towards the Middle East, as well as at least 25 air tankers and counting. And this is how we know we're cooked. Apparently, the Samson option has been leaked. If you've never heard of the Samson option, it's basically Israel's plan to take down the entire world with nukes if they're ever on the verge of defeat. This is the translated version of that document, and you can see under global deterrence attacks, there's the United States, and apparently they plan to bomb Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, and NORAD in Colorado. Only someone in a full state of delusion would believe that a country could plan to nuke you and still be your greatest ally.
The United States must get involved in this fight in order to protect the United States. God bless America. God bless the United States of Israel. United States of Israel.
It's time for
What
everyone to
the
come to terms with the
fuck?
fact that you
What
cannot
the
vote yourself
fuck?
out of being occupied by a foreign
This
entity that
motherfucker
thinks we should
actually
all
came out
die
and
for
say
their
that shit.
agenda. As expected, we are being sucked into
We
World
joke
War
about
III.
it, but
USS
what the
Nimitz and its strike group are headed towards the Middle East, as well as at least 25 air tankers and counting. And this is how we know we're cooked. Apparently, the Samson option has been leaked. If you've never heard of the Samson option, it's basically Israel's plan to take down the entire world with nukes if they're ever on the verge of defeat. This is the translated version of that document, and you can see under global deterrence attacks, there's the United States, and apparently they plan to bomb
really,
Washington, D.C., New York, Los
really,
Angeles, and NORAD in Colorado. Only someone in a full state of delusion would
really.
believe that a country could plan to nuke you and still be your greatest ally.
The United States must get involved in this fight in order to protect the United States. God bless America. God bless the United States of Israel.
What the fuck? Okay, you're saying this shit as a joke and not knowing that these people are whoa, 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 what the fuck? I need a spliff. I thought we were just being slick when we say that shit. I mean, we know that, but are they saying it too? The fuck?
United States of Israel.
I think I'm gonna need a spliff break, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely need a spliff break after this one. Holy shit. This germs. Holy fucking shit. This is not even a fucking joke, bro. Now, I think I told you previously that these people are experts in bringing down economies from different empire to different empire. Destroyers of worlds. There's also a title, but let him tell you.
Of a nation is by bringing about the collapse of its economy. Another way is by sending it to war. A nation can lose its glory from war. That is how it happened in the past. The Babylonians, the Persians. The Romans were never destroyed because the Romans split up into many countries. Who is Rome today? Europe and the United States. Rabbis tell us that before Mashiach comes, there will be many wars. And these wars will eventually bring about the collapse of Edom. Not only the economy will be in ruins, but many people will lose their life as a result of this war. And you know this World War II that will be child's play compared to a third war that will occur later on. And all those goyim who brought about so much pain and suffering on the Jewish people will be punished. Every square inch of Europe is drenched with Jewish blood. So I'm not envious of anybody living in Europe at this time. Before a new world is built, the old has to be destroyed. One of the ways.
Now, wow, 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 wow.
Were behind the invention and creation of these COVID vaccines that are going to save humanity now. The Moderna vaccine. Okay, the Moderna vaccine, the chief medical officer in charge of research and development, the person who was in charge of putting it all together is the Israeli scientist Tal Zaks. Pfizer, who's the CEO of Pfizer? In other words, the person who heads the company. Albert Bourla, who is a Greek Jew. And then, who is the chief scientist? Chief scientist is Mikael Dolsten, a Jew from Sweden. Both COVID vaccines that are now going to rescue humanity, both were created by Jews.
59 years old, in good health. I'm not working in the front line, so my type is not recommended to get vaccination.
Источник зла – это Бог, не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
The source of evil is God, not Satan.
Источник зла – это Бог, не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
In Judaism, Satan is God. Now, it's so funny because the Gnostic has the monad or the supreme being, as said in the ancestral, different from the creator of the heavens and the earth. The creator of the heavens and the earth is a Saturn principle. Saturn, Satan, the creator of the heavens and the earth, is a demiurgic principle. And the documents made it clear. The real light speaks in the Bible, saying, I am the unapproachable light in whom there is no darkness. The demiurge, their God, tells you, I bring life and death. I bring darkness and light. Within the supreme being, the monad himself, he don't create anything. He emanates light. Light emanates. It does not have the power to kill anything. He doesn't. That's not something that he does. So knowing this from someone who studies the document, this seems you got to take this different. And they say they are the chosen of God. They are the chosen of the demiurge. I got to play this one more time. Maybe I need another split break.
Источник зла – это Бог, не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
Now, there's a part in Samuel that says, and God and the Lord incited David to take a census, and he did. It was a bad thing to do, and 70,000 people died. Funny. Chronicles, recapping the same story, says, and Satan incited David to take a census of the people, and it was not a righteous thing to do, and 70,000 of them died. So if you understand the Gnostic approach to where the monad and the demiurge dynamic lays as the supreme being or the imperishable, unapproachable light, Genesis 1:3, let there be light, different than a guy making stuff out of mud and blood and saying magical word. That is a dirt kingdom and a light kingdom. To those who actually study it in the Gnostics, to those who actually practice it in the ancestral, that knows that Ra is the creator of the heaven and the earth, Amen is the divinity that says, yeah, I was there when God was created. What are you talking about? Revelation 5:14, for the faithful and the true witness was there at the creation of God. So much to be said from this guy saying this.
Источник зла – это Бог, не сатана. В иудаизме сатана – это и есть Бог.
Now, let me ask you a question. Saturn. Judaism is a Saturn cult. That's why they wear the square here, meaning that the square is the box. That's why they wrap the stuff around their hands 7 times as the rings of Saturn. Everything they do, the black robe, everything, it's about Saturn. That's the center of the focus here. In the occult, Saturn can be translated to Satan, Chronos, time.
Источник зла – это Бог, не сатана. يضيزني سطنا إتيس بو.
Too much to handle. Too hot to handle.
Under attack in New York. Did you see this? These were sprayed all over New York City. But wait, we saw video footage of the guy who was spraying it. Look, here he goes. Oh, wait a second. Is that an Orthodox Jew? Oh, wait, and here he goes. He's going to get off his bike and spray paint a swastika. So the Jews aren't under attack. They're just putting swastikas up so they can then claim anti-Semitism everywhere. This is the world we live in. They're playing the victim. Every accusation is a confession, people. Every single time. The Jews were under attack in New York. Did you see this? These were sprayed all over New York City. But wait, we saw video footage of the guy who was spraying it. Look, here he goes. Oh, wait a second. Is that an Orthodox Jew? Oh, wait, and here he goes. He's going to get off his bike and spray paint a swastika. So the Jews aren't under attack. They're just putting swastikas up so they can then claim anti-Semitism everywhere. This is the world we live in. They're playing the victim.
None of us are actually from Earth.
Not the Earth you think you know. The 7 continents we live on aren't our birthplace. They're a containment zone, a prison sealed off by the ice wall.
A prison for who?
For us. We're descendants of people who once lived beyond the wall, civilizations so advanced and defiant they couldn't be controlled. So long ago, someone made a decision: isolate them, populate these continents with carefully selected descendants, erase their memories, erase their origins.
You're saying we are not natives here?
Exactly. We were placed here. Richard Constantine orchestrated what's called the Great Placement. He found these untouched lands inside the ice wall and realized they could serve as the perfect cage. But how do you populate entire continents? Embryos. He harvested them from the ancestral lands, raised the first generation just enough to survive, then released them, let them believe they were inventing fire, tools, agriculture, when it was all designed.
So all of human history is staged?
Absolutely, and for my safety, it is just for entertainment.
So you're saying none of us are actually from Earth?
Not the Earth you think you know.
The ocean, you're saying they're keeping this closed off from the public for what reason?
Listen, there were things down there we just weren't prepared to encounter. Look, we were sent down into a canal which sonars couldn't detect a bottom on, right? It takes us hours to get through it, and when we finally did, we emerged into what felt like a pocket ocean. Words couldn't explain the anatomy of the creatures we were seeing outside the window, right? But we truly realized the alien nature of this place when this elongated, almost translucent-like figure, right? No joke, literally swims through the wall of the submarine. Don't ask me how, we're just staring at it, right? As it completely passes through and just goes out the other side, right? I mean, these things weren't even abiding by our known laws of physics.
I mean, I remember saying with the crew, like, if outer space was a place on Earth, this was it, you know?
Eighth Ocean, you're saying they're keeping this closed off from the public.
Let's see what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Who are the Russians fighting?
The Khazarian mafia in their homeland. They're cutting the head off the snake of the group that has been destroying this planet for generations.
What does that have to do with Australia today, here and now?
Because they control this country like they control everywhere else, and the Russians, along with many other nations and many other militaries, are actually fighting a subterranean war to exterminate vermin from the planet. Mandates and COVID are just one part of a larger scheme to depopulate the planet. We have been robbed, we have been raped, we have been killed for generations. And the mandate, directed by the government and enforced by the police and provided for by the big pharma, have been exterminating the people. It's all part of the same plan. The Russians...
Wow. Everybody's waking up from all parts of the world. Let's see what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. Who are the Russians fighting?
The Khazarian mafia in their homeland. They're cutting the head off the snake of the group that has been destroying this planet for generations.
What does that have to do with Australia today, here and now?
because they control this country like they control everywhere else. And the Russians, along with many other nations and many other militaries, are actually fighting a subterranean war to exterminate vermin from the planet. Mandates and COVID are just one part of a larger scheme to depopulate the planet. We have been robbed, we have been raped, we have been killed for generations. And the mandate, directed by the government and enforced by the police and provided for by the big pharma, have been exterminating the people. It's all part of the same plan. The Russians.
Wow. Everybody's waking up from all parts of the world.